If I had to describe my skills, I would show them like this. I have never made any games, all my art skills end with this, and the last time I did any programming was back in school. At least I can write scripts since I have written more than one book, and still, despite all of that, I decided to make a game. And not just any game, but one that wouldn't even require my writing skills because I'm a bit tired of writing books. And here's what I made in the first week. So, my name is Alex and this is my path from zero to game. It all started with an idea. I have actually wanted to try making a game for a long time, especially a story-driven one, but I never got around to it. Then something clicked in my head and I finally decided to try. My first idea was to make a 2D platformer, something like Hollow Knight, but completely different. A real story plus a level system, multiple story paths, turn-based tactical battles and even a deck builder. I mixed in a lot. So the plan was that the player would complete quests, do some platform elements, and when the battle started, everything would turn into the turn-based combat. The player would have only 4 cards at once and would have to use them wisely, and also use the environment, because the platforms under him would break and he could fall down to the enemies, but for the first game that was probably way too hard to make. Still, I didn't give up right away and started drawing. A lot of guides say that you should make the basic mechanics first and only then draw art, but honestly I didn't want to watch a lot of guides. And I know I need visual results. If I make a game with fighting rectangles I will lose interest very fast. So I opened a separate. And here's my masterpiece. And here's another one. It looks terrible even though I spent a ton of time on it and I watched several guides. But honestly that was expected from me. But I didn't stop. Many people tell beginners not to use big canvases when making pixel art, so I tried drawing something smaller. But it still turned out kinda awful. But then I drew a slime using a guide. Just look at this cutie!
Ew.
And then I even tried animating it a bit and it turned out pretty good. Just look at it bouncing. Still, on my fourth attempt I managed to draw something that at least looked like a person. Something I could actually use in the game, even if it still looked bad. But I probably couldn't do better anyway, so I drew the main character from the side and then animated him walking. After that I should have started watching guides and coding, but I was too lazy, so the next day I went back to drawing again. For some reason I was starting to enjoy it. This time I drew tiles and they turned out way better than my characters, even if in the end I didn't really need them. But by the end of day 2 I couldn't deny it anymore. I had to watch guides. I choose the Godot script because it looks the simplest and honestly now I really think it's very simple. Even its own programming language GTScript didn't give me a headache. Maybe because I have used Python before and many people say GTScript is based on it. Working in Godot really felt like building something out of Lego. First you make your little guy, then you place him on a scene, then you decorate the scene, then you make enemies and just drag them into the scene. At first it all felt a bit confusing, but with time I started to like it. And after about half an hour my character started moving. And that was the end of the day. The next day I started working on the current project. This idea came to me when I watched Kung Fu Panda. And then I remembered Potato, and then I got a genius, not really, idea. What if I make a game where a panda uses different martial arts skills and fights with the waves of demons? And the attacks wouldn't be automatic like in Potato or Vampire Survivor. The player would press the buttons and the player could choose skills and there would be also combos. So I started drawing again. This time I drew the main character fast, in about just 5 minutes, and then made a basic animation in another 10 minutes. So just look at this little guy. Not really handsome, but still cute. And soon I had to code again. This time I decided to do it without guides, relying only on my own genius and artificial intelligence. And after an hour I made the panda move. No. Still, pretty soon I managed to add a dash too, even though later the dash mechanic became way more complex. In my original idea, the panda was supposed to fight using his fists, but pretty fast I remembered my skills, this to be exact. I can draw, and to make nice punching animations as far as I understood, I would need to make the character turn in all directions, not just left and right. So I decided to make a bamboo stick that would float around the player and deal damage. And honestly, I quickly started to like this idea, so I made it. But problems started when I had to go back to the code again. The issue is that I want the player to pick abilities before each fight. That means I can't just hardcode shift as a dash forever and right mouse as some magic shot, because the player might not even take dash into the fight. So I needed a slot system and even though logically I understood how to do it, thanks to my factorial experience. My programming skills limited me, and I was too lazy to learn the language or watch guides. So I started fighting ChatGPT instead, and that took a lot of time. Of course, ChatGPT does everything fast, but there were issues. It used methods from old Godot versions that no longer worked, or it invented weird systems. At first, it even made an extra script that did who knows what. This failure hit me hard that day, but the next day I started from the scratch. The idea was to make an array of 4 slots, and when the player chooses an ability, the name of that ability gets placed into the array. Then the script goes through an array, reads the names, matches them with the names in a pre-made dictionary, and then attach the script link to those names. And that's how it worked in the end. Soon the dash was working with a new system, and I added the new cooldowns into the system too. And so the week was almost over, and I still had almost nothing in the game. Yeah, I could walk, I could dash, but where are the enemies? At first, the enemies were supposed to be demons, beast-like creatures. Basically, it would be Panda Doom guy. But I liked the slimes I drew on the first day so much that I added it as a temporary enemy, at least until I drew real ones. Although nothing is more permanent than temporary. And next week I drew even more slimes. But this for the next episode. So on the second to last day I started drawing attack animations, and then I made the dash animation. For that I had to make another script that would control all animation and activate them depending on the situation. Finally the week was coming to an end. I had some problems getting enemies to take damage, for some reason the stick just didn't interact with them, but eventually the code gave up and worked. I was also surprised by how easy it was to make an infinite enemy spawn system and dropping coins for them. All I had to do was tell the script that when an enemy dies, it should spawn a coins in at their position, and for spawning enemies they should appear at a random spot inside the set boundaries. I expected this to take way more time. But now at the end of the week it actually started to look like a real game. Next week I have a big plans. I want to add a few more enemies and also make the hardest thing the combo system. Honestly, I don't know how to approach it. It's even harder than the ability slot system, and that one took me a whole day. But I think I will figure out something. After that I can start adding new abilities and combos. I have plenty of ideas for those. Same for enemies. So, see you next week. So, if you liked the video and want to see continuation, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye!